All right, we are live. We worked out some kinks we had, but welcome. I know the show's entitled What's Trending. We'll fix that in post production, but you're not seeing things. This is NFL Boycott Club. We are back.
Back, baby.
Back on the new format, on the new software. And we did a test run with Big Tone, who's not just a sports aficionado, but a 49ers aficionado and a football aficionado, and had a great baseball career in his own right. I don't know how he didn't go pro. That's probably a different story for a different day. But shout out to him if he could join us. But we have the Portuguese power, Mr. fucking Orgo. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good. It's been a while since we did one of these shows.
It's been a while. But we had this thing last week that we watched together called the 2021 NFL Draft. So why not fucking take a stab at it? Why not rip our team apart and this whole fucking city?
Yeah, the fact that the Giants traded back for more picks next year, which, I know a lot of people like, but what good is that? Are we trying to win right now? Isn't that why we signed a wide receiver to $16 million a year to win now, not to win 2 years from now?
Yeah, see, so that's where I would push back on you a little bit. I kind of like what they did. They end up getting an extra first round pick, right, for next year.
Yeah, so next year.
But those are primo picks, bro. They're worth a lot of money.
I just think what they're trying to do, though, aren't they trying to win now? Isn't their whole goal to surround Jones with these premier players? I mean, this guy, Tony, and everybody's talking about him being a good athlete, but who actually knew who he was before they picked him? I know you didn't. I sure as hell didn't. There's people who say they knew who he was, but I just think they're full of crap, to be honest.
Well, I mean, can't you make the argument that every team every year is in a win now kind of a mode?
Not necessarily.
Well, maybe except for the Jaguars.
No, I think there's a lot of teams that are smart for they're in a rebuild mode. That happens. Giants are not. I think we know that. They have a good defense. They have, good playmakers. They sign playmakers. So I just don't understand the point of trading, back to get first-round picks for next year. And first-round picks, you got to figure it'll be a year or two to pan out. So by the time they get them next year, it's 2 years. Is that really what we really want, to win in 2 years?
Well, I just want stability, right? I mean, that's, as a Giants fan, it's been a bad decade. I mean, they couldn't have had a better ending to the last decade than winning the second Super Bowl in 4 years. But, I mean, I've never seen a franchise disintegrate after success like the way the Giants have.
Don't they always do that, though? I mean, the same thing in the 90s after they won their second one with Hostetler. They went into a rut for 15 years after that?
Yeah, with Dave Brown. And Dan Reeves, who was a good coach on Denver.
Good coach.
And he was a good coach on Atlanta, but he sucked when he was here.
Yeah, I mean, he had Dave Brown at quarterback, so you can't really blame him for that. But they were bad until 2005 when they got Eli and they started becoming a little more stable.
Well, no, I mean, when they hired Jim Fossil, they were pretty decent. I mean, keep in mind, a bad Giants season that took them to fire Jim Fossil, they had to go 6-10. That was unacceptable. I mean, now I think they went 6-10 in 2020, and we were fucking dancing over it.
Well, I forgot about the Super Bowl year in 2000, but minus that year, they had a pretty bad run for that 15-year span.
Well, again, I would say when Jim Fossil was the coach, the team was moving in the right direction, and he had an 8-8 year and a 6-10 year, and those were the two worst years under Jim Fossil. So,
right.
Look, he brought in my boy Kerry Collins that I've talked about repeedly on the show,
and he led you guys to a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and he got crushed, but at least he went there.
Yeah. Well, that brings up the age-old question: is it better to make it to the Super Bowl and lose, or is it better to just lose in the fucking conference championship?
Or how about just not go to the playoffs?
Well, the Giants, they're that they either lose in the wild card or they win the whole fucking thing. There's very little in between with them.
Right. I mean, and the Giants, as we know, they never run through the division. If they do win the division, it's a 10-win season. You know, it's never like they blow teams out of the water. We know that, but they come out of nowhere and just like have a hot run in the playoffs.
Well, bro, I mean, you gotta. What about that 2008 team? And I'm sure we've talked about this before on the show, but that 2008 team was hand over fist way, way better than that 2007 team that actually won the Super Bowl. And look what happened.
Oh yeah, the year after when Burris shot himself in the leg. Yeah, that team they won the division that year, right?
But with credibility.
Yeah,
like didn't they go like 12-4?
12-4. But it was like once Burris got shot in the leg and suspended or whatever the hell he was, or in the hospital, their offense didn't know what to do. It was like they had no playbook anymore. It was so crazy that one guy changed the whole playbook. And that's when it all went south, because then they lost, I think, to the Eagles, right, in the first round. It wasn't even a close game. They scored, like, I think, 7 points or something. It was a joke.
It was a joke. And I keep going back to the Bronx Tale. Wasted talent, man.
Wasted talent. That year was wasted talent, because you saw all coming together. They won the Super Bowl. They had a nice core.
And they were improving.
Yeah.
Like, teams never improve after winning the Super Bowl. Very rare. Right?
Yeah, a lot of times they regress. They lose players to free agency. Guys want bigger contracts after they win a Super Bowl. It's very difficult. I mean, only the Patriots have really done it, just because they have probably one of the best coaching staffs of all time. They just kind of take anybody and make them good, especially, and since they had Brady, too, is a big thing as well.
But, leave it to the fucking Giants, man, to do that.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're still living off these 2 Super Bowls, like, which is, good, because a lot of teams don't even have a Super Bowl, right? Or even playoff wins. So, we're kind of spoiled, I guess. But we've been absolute crap since 2012, right?
Well, and that's the thing. I consider myself a little more of like a humble, if you want to call it humble Giants fan, because I don't have a short memory. I feel like a lot of Giants fans do have a short memory.
Sure.
Because, I mean, can you just imagine what it must feel like to be a fan of the other team in this town?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough sledding for teams in this area in general. When you think about it, I mean, the Yankees haven't done shit in 12 years. The Mets, obviously. Not that I'm a basketball person so much, but the Knicks have been absolutely dreadful for the past 20 years. So I don't think there's been much going on in New York.
Not really. And believe it or not, I mean, the hockey team in the area that's had the most success in the last couple decades is the fucking New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, I mean, I don't follow hockey, but apparently they're pretty bad recently. But I know they were pretty solid with Brodeur back in the day when I actually used to watch the games. I mean, they were always like a contender, right, to win it all.
Yeah, and I will tell you, man, there's nothing like a live hockey game. That's the best, in my opinion, the best sport to watch live.
Yeah, I agree. I'll go to a hockey game any day of the week. I couldn't tell you one player on the ice or half the rules, but I'll go to a hockey game any day of the week if you invite me.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about this draft. So obviously, we knew Trevor Lawrence was headed to Jacksonville with
right. We knew that since last September
with Urban Meyer. Now, I was pretty shocked that Urban Meyer took an NFL job. I mean, what was your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think all these college coaches that succeed in college try that. They all try it. You can't really say I wouldn't say I'm surprised because they threw a bunch of money at him. I mean, he's making like $10 million a year. He's not going to say no to it. Even if he fails, what does he give a shit, right? He's still going to make the money.
He's getting paid.
Yeah. So it's like that ego thing where it's like, well, I succeeded in college, so let me see what I do in the NFL. And I mean, yeah, who knows? I personally don't think he'll be good. I think the way he ran his offense in college is totally different than what's going to happen in the pros. I mean, he always ran that that pistol formation, like run option. Is that what Lawrence is going to do? Probably not. I mean, it doesn't really work in the NFL.
Well, what kind of system does Clemson run?
Clemson?
Where he went to school.
I mean, I don't know. If you watch Clemson, I guess it's somewhat of a pro-style system. He does a lot of pocket passing. He's kind of like an Aaron Rodgers type. He can run when he has to, but he is a good pocket passer.
Well, and they give ETN a ton of carries, too.
Yeah, ETN, which they actually have, who they actually drafted as well, which is interesting.
Wait, the Jaguars drafted ETN?
Yeah, he was their second pick.
I didn't even notice that.
They had 2 first-round picks, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he was taken like late 20th round. Late first round, 20-something.
Oh, no shit. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, so, and they actually have a good running back already in Robinson. So
See, that's what happens when you stop paying attention after your team makes their pick.
and especially once you get to the 20s, like especially this year, there weren't a lot of well-known guys at that point, except for Etienne, who I think was probably the most well-known.
Dude, I'm excited for Jacksonville. That's fucking awesome.
I mean, they have some receivers. They have good running game now. They already had a good running back. Now they add a second one. You know, everyone knows you need 2 running backs to win in the NFL nowadays. They should be respectable.
Well, dude, when the Giants won in 07, they had 3 running backs, right? They had Ward, they had fucking the head case Brandon Jacobs,
and Bradshaw.
Yeah, and Bradshaw. And then I guess Bradshaw was the only one left for the 2011.
Don't you feel like the Giants kind of started that whole 2 running back thing? I feel like before that, it was always
with Thunder
back.
and Lightning?
Yeah, like
Tiki and who was the other one?
Oh, Ron Dane.
Right, yeah.
I feel like before the Giants, like I'm not trying to be like biased here, so I'm a Giants fan, obviously. But what did they have before that? Like you had the Rams, who Marshall Faulk was by himself, running all over the field. You know,
Emmett was by himself.
Emmett, like Priest Holmes. You had Barry Sanders, obviously. Like it was always a 1 running back system, and the Giants were one of the first to kind of do that 2 running back, and it became like revolutionary because all these teams want to do that. Everyone wants 2 running backs now.
Well, I will tell you, in high school, we had like a 3 running back system.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, again, I went to a much more sophisticated football high school than you did.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we had like 13 guys in the team, so to have 2 running backs, that's like insane. You know? I mean, you had someone like me who was like 5'10", 160 pounds playing DN. You know your team's in trouble.
Right. That would have been the position that The Rock played.
Well,
at Miami.
Well, that was like my backup position because obviously with 13 guys, 1 guy gets hurt, you got to just throw yourself into another spot. It's like, why am I a DN? Like that's just not right.
Why am I here?
Why am I sitting here? This tackle is twice my size. I can't get by him.
Oh man, but there is no better feeling than just like ripping through a motherfucker and making a play.
Yeah, I mean, I got the quickness, but as far as like overpowering, that's not happening.
You seem like you have some agility.
Agility, that's what I have. Definitely not overpowering though. Once he locks his hands on my shoulder pads, it's all over.
Now, like you know what I to this day I'm always confused about in
What's
football, and this is coming from me. What is holding? Can we talk about this?
Well,
what the fuck technically is holding?
It's a fine line because a lot of guys do hold. I think the problem is once that guy rips away from you, you have to let go of him. Like once he gets that leverage on you and he rips away, you have to let go. They're not going to call holding if the guy's right in front of you. Very rarely do they do. But once that guy comes away, then you have to let go. You can't grab onto his pads or sure at that point.
I see.
And then also if a guy beats you.
So basically you can't do like a wrestling move.
Right, because that's what guys try to do, especially if a guy beats you and they try to grab their arm. That's a clear hold. But once you're like kind of parallel to the play and he rips away, you have to let him go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because according to John Madden, you can call holding every fucking single play.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why it's a very fine line. So, like, if the guy's in front of them, they're probably not going to call it because, like you said, and Madden quoted, it's a hold almost every play on these tackles, especially.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah, and I was just like a very unathletic, somewhat in shape guy, so I was just a lineman. I was just a simple lineman.
Simple lineman, just like a plug-in.
But I'll tell you, man. Besides the quarterback, aside from the quarterback, offensive linemen are like the smartest guys on the field because they have to know what everybody else is fucking doing on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that, like in football, like the linemen, there's so many schemes.
Like you watch it because the play only lasts for a couple of seconds, right?
Yeah.
But you don't realize all the mental preparation that goes into each and every play when you're watching it because the game goes quick.
Sure, and there's a lot of schemes that we don't really notice, you know.
Of course,
like,
to the layman, which we are not in terms of football, it just looks like guys butting heads in like 2 seconds, which it is. Don't get me wrong. But there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, a lot of people who don't watch football will say that, oh, they're just pushing each other around. I mean, yeah, that is the case to a point. But I mean, but still, there's a lot of schemes that they run. It's like
human chess.
Yes. But it's true. Like they do, the quarterback calls out like the blitzes he sees coming, and the line has to adjust to that. they're kind of adjusting to that as well. They're audibling also the offense.
It's I mean, there's someone I could whip out my high school playbook right now. I still have it, and you'd probably be surprised by what you would see in it.
Yeah, I mean,
how sophisticated it was.
Our playbook was probably about 20 plays long. Like, it's pathetic.
And the thing is, each play, if it was a running play, because predominantly it was a running offense, it was a wing team run offense predominantly, but each play had 4 scenarios that was a run play, meaning
right. You can audible into 4 different,
meaning left and right, and if you're facing an even front or an odd front for a defensive line,
right? You could adjust it there.
So there's odd left, odd right, even right for every play. So every play you need to know 4 different fucking ways to do it.
Right. That makes sense. That's like an actual offense as opposed to our offense, which was like, here's the play, we're gonna run it, and that's it. We're gonna hope that it works.
My jaw just dropped because I can't believe that you guys were that unsophisticated.
It was so like one-dimensional. It was like, this is the play, we're gonna run it. On defense too. There wasn't like an audible on defense. There wasn't anything. It was like, okay, we'll blitz this play, and that's it.
Oh, we had defense audibles. They were called Thunder and Storm. Thunder, thunder, thunder.
Yeah, though we had no audibles. And this is why it was a horrible program.
Dude, I would give anything to be in high school again and just be a fucking strong side linebacker. Oh my god, that's got to be the most fun position in the game.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're always doing something. You know, you're always involved in the play.
You're like the quarterback of the defense.
Yeah, you're always involved in the play. You know, obviously being smaller, I always played safety. But again,
but you could be a safety and be a bad motherfucker.
You would think.
Well, look at Ed Reed, right?
No, I mean, the way we ran our offense, it was like the safety was like the how do you say it? Like the last line of defense. Like, you just play back, and if anybody breaks through, then you make the tackle. Like, Ed Reed was more the ball hawk type, like, you know, come up on the run, stuff like that.
Well, yeah. You know who hurt people? Fucking John Lynch.
Oh, John. Well, he was like, but again, in our system, we had a free safety. That was it. Lynch was a strong safety. We didn't play a strong safety. You know, a strong safety comes up on the run more.
Right.
Lynch was almost like a linebacker, man. That guy was like a more athletic version of a linebacker, is basically what he did. Because he would get like 100 tackles a year. Like, that's insane for a safety. And put people on the ground like in a concussion. Like, that was a monster.
This is when the NFL was the NFL.
I know. Now he's the GM of the Niners, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, he's got a great acumen for the game. I mean, the Niners are what they are, but they're not. If I was a Niners fan, I wouldn't be like crying, you know? They've been okay.
No, I mean, they went to the Super Bowl. They should have won.
Look at their last 10 years compared to the Giants' last 10 years, you know?
I mean, they should have won the Super Bowl. They're up by 10 in the fourth quarter, right? I mean, they should have won that game. Just unfortunately, they were playing against the best quarterback in the game, and he made a nice comeback.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
He's known for that.
Yep.
So what's your take on this Zach Wilson kid? He seems like he's kind of fit for New York.
Yeah, I guess he is. I mean, like, we heard him in the interview. He seems pretty cocky and confident, which is, I guess, what you need in New York, right?
And that's a Jets quarterback, honest. That's like a stereotypical Jets quarterback, right?
I guess so, yeah.
And he's a little bit of a pretty boy.
Yeah, they always seem to draft those, like, West Coast type, surfer pretty boy types. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything I know much about him, because before the pro day, I barely heard about this guy. Then all of a sudden he had a great pro day, which, you know, my opinion about the pro day, I think it was bullshit.
Well, look at Tom Brady's pro day.
Yeah,
that's all you need to know.
It was garbage. He couldn't jump. He couldn't run.
And he had a dad bod back then.
Yeah, dad bod at the age of 22. Yeah, he was, what, a 6th-round pick or whatever? Yeah, so I don't think put much stock into the pro days. Yeah, you can throw a ball when you're wide open, but most of these guys can, right? I mean, if you're a quarterback in Division I football, you could make a wide open throw. Like, that's what you should do, right?
It's like easier than 7-on-7.
Yeah, exactly. There's no one in front of you. Like, it's totally different. So, but I don't know. They like
I think, honestly, it's more to show your mechanics than any, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you don't want to come into the NFL and just be a complete dud. You want to have, like, some arm strength, some accuracy, all that good stuff, all that jazz.
But I'm saying, like, that's why they make it easy It's more about the motions and the process. That's what they want to see. So I think they do that for the visibility factor.
Sure, it makes sense. But I think this year also.
But can anybody throw a touchdown to nobody that's being covered?
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, I can make a wide open throw too. You know, I played a little quarterback in like Sandlot football. I can make a wide open throw. You know, but like guys, again, I don't put much stock into it. I think also a lot of these teams were desperate for quarterbacks, so they're kind of reaching like the Jets did, and also who was the other one? Even the Niners. I mean, did anybody really know who Trey Lance was before the draft? I mean, like we might have heard of him, but I don't think anybody was like,
bro, who the fuck follows North Dakota State?
Exactly.
They're the Bison, and I only know that they're named the Bison because back in the day when I used to be an architect, there was a guy that randomly moved here from fucking North Dakota, and he went to that college, and he told me all about the Bison.
Yeah, that's your knowledge of North Dakota.
And I think it's in Fargo.
Fargo, okay, like the movie,
right? Like the movie, and his local team was the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, naturally, right? I mean, what else is up there?
Yeah, and I think Brock Lesnar is from North Dakota.
Oh, okay, there you go, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, everyone knows Brock Lesnar. All right.
So yeah, I mean, you got Lance and the Niners. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get excited about any of these guys, but who knows? Maybe they'll pan out. You never know. I mean, Josh Allen went to Wyoming, and he's doing pretty damn well in Buffalo. But I think it's just like foolish to say, "Oh, these are the guys we wanted." I mean, was it really? Like, did anybody know these guys in September? I doubt it.
Hey, speaking of the Vikings and Brock Lesnar, did you know in 2004 I was at WrestleMania 20 at the Garden, and I saw Brock Lesnar's last match in the WWE, and he walked out and quit the WWE in 2004 and randomly walked on to the Vikings. Did you know that?
He tried to make the team?
He was the last guy to get cut, and he never played college football. He was a national champion in college wrestling.
Right, that I remember.
He played high school football, and he was man number 54.
Wow, so he was in the team. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Well, 53, 52 players. Those 52 players.
53.
Oh, 53, okay.
And he was the 54th guy. And you know who was the coach of the Vikings at the time? Mike Tice.
Mike Tice, yeah.
And I remember reading quotes of his actually praising Lesnar for having virtually no football experience. I mean, he did have football experience, but not
in high school. Yeah.
Like, who skips a whole level and just goes to the NFL? If anyone could do it, it's fucking Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I mean, he was so big, right? I mean,
he still is.
Yeah. Well, what position was he going for? Like,
he was DN.
DN. Yeah, I feel like he's kind of like slow though for that position. No, those guys are usually pretty fast.
You're saying he should be more like a nose guard?
Yeah, more interior, I would think.
You know what? Maybe he was a D tackle. I could be mistaken. I could be mistaken.
Yeah, I feel like he'd be that guy that clogged the middle up because he's so freaking wide. I mean, like,
dude, when I saw him at the Garden, I had a good seat at that show. Dude, I couldn't believe the size of this fucking guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's always different in person. A few times that I watch him on TV because I don't really follow wrestling, he does look humongous. And the UFC too. I remember him being in the UFC, and he was decent, right, for like a couple of years.
You know how he got into the UFC?
No.
The Vikings cut him, and then he went to Japan and did some pro wrestling in Japan because Japan actually pays really well.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And while he was in Japan, he did some pro wrestling, and then this organization offered him an MMA deal for like a one-fight deal, and he totally annihilated the opponent. Then he came back to America and wanted to get into the UFC, and Dana White wouldn't take his phone calls. So he went to a UFC show like as a fan, and at the end of the show, he jumped the barrier and fucking pulled Dana White aside and was like, "Hey, can we have that conversation now?" Really? Yeah. And Dana White was like, "All right, I'll give you a one-fight deal." And then that turned into a multi-fight deal in his whole UFC career.
Yeah, and then he became like the main card, right? Eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of people like the brawler types, like he was. He wasn't obviously like the best MMA fighter in the world, but he was a brawler, right? He just was more like, I'm going to try to knock you out, and that's what's going to happen.
And what he does really well when he came back to the WWE in 2011, he took a 7-year break from the WWE. When he came back to the WWE, he wore his UFC gear, and it sort of blurred the lines. And this is when wrestling is good, and it hasn't been good in a very long time. But when wrestling is good is when they blur the lines between fiction and reality. And Brock Lesnar did an awesome job of that back in 2011. But this isn't a wrestling show. This is a football show. But I just wanted to tie that bow about Brock Lesnar because I don't know when we're ever going to get to talk about him again.
Yeah, my wrestling knowledge is very limited, but I do know Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, well, everybody does. So with the number 4 pick, the Falcons took Kyle Pitts, tight end out of Florida.
He's good. Oh, yeah.
Actually, and I remember they did talk about this a lot. Highest selected tight end in NFL history.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were saying he is the best pick in the draft. Like, he is the most talented player. Obviously, for the Jaguars, you can't take a tight end. But going by best player, he was the one. And I kind of agree with that. He is a freaking monster, that guy, man. Obviously, we're hoping the Giants would get him, but he wasn't going to slip to the 11th pick. That'd be insane.
Yeah.
I just think, like, with the Falcons, does that even help them, though? I mean, yeah, he's going to be good, but the Falcons already have a good offense. Like, don't they have so many other holes? Like, their defense is terrible. Like, Ryan's getting old. I think there's so many other holes in that team. Like, I don't know how much he's going to bring to the table for that type of team, you know?
Well, the best thing they did was fire the coach.
Oh, yeah, that was time for him to go. After he blew that Super Bowl, it was all downhill after that.
They should have fired him after the Super Bowl. You know, like,
right.
The only other questionable fire that I can think of off the top of my head, I think your boy Marty Schottenheimer went like 13-3 with the Chargers, lost in the playoffs, and got fired. And then the Chargers were never the same since.
Oh, the Chargers, yeah, because remember they used to go to the playoffs all the time with those records and lose. And I think they got.
But Marty Schottenheimer had the same track record in KC. He had Joe Montana.
Yeah,
and he never won. He would always do great in the regular season. They would always get a bye week, and they would always lose in the playoffs. The Chiefs never made it to the Super Bowl till fucking Andy Reid. I mean, right. I'm not counting the original fucking Super Bowls from the 60s.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like in the from the 90s and on.
Yeah, the modern day.
The Chiefs were always that team that always did well and just could never win a fucking playoff game.
Yeah, and I guess as fans you get spoiled. It's like, oh, we won 13 games. Like, this sucks. We lost the playoffs again. Well, now you're winning 3 games. So are you happy now?
That's why I'm so happy I'm a Giants fan. They go 9-7 and win the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, you can't complain about that.
But let's be honest. One of the I forget which run you were on, 07 or 2011. It just so happened to work out that one of the other teams knocked off the Saints, because if the Giants had to play the Saints in the playoffs, he would have got annihilated.
Yeah, I feel like the Saints have their number, and they always lose to the Saints. And I remember that too, not wanting to play them. You know, it's just because they do have our number, 100%.
Yeah.
There was even a game that was like a shootout, and like the Giants were scoring they scored like 45 points and lost. It was like no matter what the Giants can do when they play the Saints, they will still lose. It doesn't matter.
And it just goes to show you that the Super Bowl champion isn't necessarily the best team in the league.
No, absolutely not. It's never the case. You know, like you said with the Chargers, they were probably the best team in the league those years, but they weren't going to the Super Bowl. You know, it's one and done any given Sunday. You know, a fumble here, interception here, changes the whole game. It's not like basketball or anything where it's like a tournament style, or not tournament style, excuse me, like a playoff, like a series. You know, where you can have one bad game.
But
you know?
But what about the '94 Knicks though? I mean, these should have won.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, who did they wind up playing?
The Rockets.
The Rockets, yeah, that was a tough team though. With Hakeem Olajuwon.
But they were up 3-1.
That's right, they were.
When you're up 3-1, you got to close that shit.
But Hakeem the Dream, man, he's like one of the best centers of our generation.
All right.
Who else we had in the draft there?
With the 5th pick, the Cincinnati Bengals selected Jamar Chase, wide receiver, LSU.
All right, that's where they got the guy from that played with Burrow. So that was a pretty good pick. I mean, put some more weapons around
it makes
Burrow.
Sense. Yeah.
I mean, he's a good quarterback. He proved himself last year. It's a shame he got hurt. I think their play call in Cincinnati was horrible. This guy was like running the ball way too much for a guy who has a good arm. I don't. That's how he hurt his knee, right? He got tackled at the goal line or something. It's like, come on, let the guy throw. Like, I don't know why they're trying to get him killed in the goal line. Those are the most dangerous plays. That's when you have like the biggest guys in the field. It just makes no sense.
Well, Joe Burrow definitely proved he's NFL material for sure.
Yeah, he proved me wrong. I thought it was a product of the offense he was on at LSU because they had a really good team. But he is a good quarterback, man. Since he should be very happy.
He's definitely panning out better than Dalton.
Yeah, I mean, Dalton was good with the Bengals. I was talking about this the other day about the Bengals. They went to the playoffs 3 years in a row and lost every year.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, and this is the common theme of what we've been discussing. Mm-hmm. You got to win those fucking games, or they don't mean anything.
Yeah, and you know what? Also, find interesting. You know that the Bengals are the longest playoff win drought in the league. They haven't won a playoff game since 1990.
Wow, and I bet the Browns had that record until this year.
Yeah, most likely.
Dude, I still can't believe that how bad the Browns annihilated Pittsburgh in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, we saw that though with Pittsburgh. They were kind of trending downhill the last few games of the season.
Right, but I didn't think they were going to go into Pittsburgh and destroy them.
Yeah. Good for the Browns. I mean, they got a young up-and-coming team. A lot of people are saying they could possibly compete with the Chiefs for the AFC title. Maybe. I'm still not a big believer in Baker. They do have a good team around him.
I'm not a believer in Baker either, but I'm a believer in Baker's commercials with his on-fire wife.
He has good commercials. I'll give him that.
I like those stupid commercials.
Maybe he's spending too much time rehearsing the commercials and not enough time practicing. Maybe that's why.
Well, I would like to think that he does those commercials during the
off-season.
And they just don't – and they release it,
That's just my easy way of knocking him, that's all.
But look, Cleveland needs something to be excited about. LeBron aborted them again,
I mean, yeah, if you're a Browns fan, I mean, this is what you want. They've been a disaster forever.
We were talking about Major League before 1 and 2.
Yeah, the Indians were a disaster. The Browns, I mean, yeah, the Cavs were terrible until LeBron came there.
You know what? I really don't have many good things to say about LeBron, but at least he fucking delivered the Cavaliers the championship.
Yeah, he did. He came back there and got it for them, And the Cavs have been absolute, like, a disaster of an organization for a long time.
I remember in NBA Jam, they were like the worst possible team you could pick.
Yeah, because they had like no one to be like to play with. Like every team had like fun players who could be.
Like I used to like playing as the Sonics with fucking what was his name?
Sean
Kemp.
They had Kemp, they had Schrempf,
yeah,
and they had Gary Payton. Yeah, that was a good team. But then, who do the Cavs even have? I don't even know. They probably had like some guys, like probably just a bunch of bums.
So see, like. And the way that the NBA and the NHL does the playoffs, I'm not a fan of that because it's like East Coast versus West Coast. I think I've spoken to you about this before, when it comes to the playoffs, and even you can maybe even do this in the NFL and in baseball, you forget the conferences, you forget the leagues. You say 14 teams are going to make the playoffs or whatever the number is.
The best, yeah.
12 teams are. Now we're going to forget about conferences. We're going to forget about leagues. We're going to reseed everybody based off their record. And it's going to be like a mishmash.
Right.
And so, I think that's how you truly get the best team to win a championship.
So you take the 12 best teams in the whole league, basically.
Right. And then you seed them based off their records having nothing to do with conference.
Yeah, the only problem with that is you have to change the schedule, too, because in the scheduling – they play their conference more than any other team,
keep that. No, that makes sense. Keep that format for the sake of tradition and for the sake of the regular season. Keep that format. I'm just saying when it comes to the postseason, let's forget about East versus West. Let's forget about keeping AFC and NFC separate. Reseed it.
Oh, for all sports.
And merge it. Yeah.
That's what college does, college basketball. Essentially, That's what they're doing. You have conferences, but then they're like, okay, come tournament time, we're putting everybody in the same pot. 68 best teams are going to seed you, and then you go from there.
But even that's geographic because you have like the East and the right. Isn't that? I don't know too much about it.
It is, but they really don't take that into account too much. I mean, you have like California teams playing
But
the
the
East.
cream will rise to the top and something like that.
Yeah, it's the best teams are playing the worst teams. And if there's an upset along the way, so be it. And that's just it.
Wouldn't that be cool if the NBA just like for 1 year only just changed the rules and did like an NCAA style tournament to determine the champion?
Well, like everybody makes the playoffs, and then you just have like you're the worst record, the worst seed.
Yeah,
type of thing.
Yeah.
You could do it.
That would be fun.
But remember, college, you're not taking you don't have the worst team necessarily because there's 300 teams in college, so it's the 68 best teams, I guess you call it. So it's not like you had I don't know. I don't know the idea of everybody making the playoffs. Then there's
doesn't half the league make the playoffs anyway?
Yes, that's why I think basketball is a joke because it's like the regular season means nothing. So if you say okay, now everyone's making it to the playoffs, then it really means nothing.
Not only does the regular season mean nothing. How long is the game? 48 minutes.
Yeah.
The first 47 minutes mean nothing.
Yeah.
They're just trading hoops for 47 minutes.
Yeah.
It always just comes down to the last fucking minute.
Just spot each team 100 points and call it a day and play the last 2 minutes. Because I don't know if I agree. Because then you're gonna have a team like LeBron James. He'll just sit at home the whole regular season and then just come out for the playoffs.
Isn't that what he does anyway?
Well, I mean, you gotta understand he's getting older. I mean, to be 36 and dominating is not like a real thing. That's like an anomaly.
I think he wants to play with this kid.
That would be crazy.
Because his kid, I think, is in high school now.
Yeah, he's getting older. He's probably like 17 or something. Last time I remember that was Ken Griffey Jr. and his dad.
But did they play together?
They did. They played in the same outfield together.
That's pretty cool. I never knew that.
There was a game he was playing center and his dad was playing left field.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Because Griffey was a really good player coming out of high school. So by the time he was 19, he was in the pros, and his dad was 41 or 42.
Mark my words, LeBron is a couple months younger than me, but I think that's got nothing to do with anything. I'm just saying that for age reference, but I think he's going to be playing in the NBA till he's 50. Honestly.
Basketball is one of those tougher sports that'll play that old. I mean, baseball, maybe you can do it. There's guys that are 48,
No, but
49.
they're such pussies now in basketball. They don't hit each other anymore.
Yeah, it's just a grind, though, on your body. I mean, these guys aren't playing once a week.
That's why LeBron probably plays a couple games a week. As it is now, he doesn't play every game.
Well, now I think he's injured. These guys play 3 times a week. That's a lot, man. I used to play pickup games in my 20s, and I'd be tired after 2 games.
But I think if anybody can do it, I think LeBron can.
Yeah, I mean, he's like I said, he's an anomaly. That should not happen. But I don't think people realize how crazy it is for a 36-year-old to dominate a sport like that. And for basketball, Jordan did it. That was really the last guy I remember. But Jordan retired a year later. He was retired by 37.
Jordan did a lot more in a lot less time. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, I guess, because he wasn't as good as at first. I mean, he was good, but we didn't see that superstar in him until he was 30. So when he was between 30 and 37, he dominated the sport. Right? So a 7-year span.
Something like that. But this is the NFL Boycott Club, so let's talk about football. Huh?
Yeah, we're going a little off track here.
With the number 6 pick in the first round, the Miami Dolphins selected Jalen Waddle, wide receiver, Alabama. And they got that pick from Philly, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, they said he was one of the top, better wide receivers. I think obviously we just said Jamar Chase went ahead of him, but I think that's more the LSU connection for Burrow. But they said Waddle last year was probably the best prospect in the draft as far as wide receivers are concerned. So I guess they can't really go wrong with that. All you have to do is worry about his injury history. I think he was injured all last year for Alabama. He played 1 game. What
is it with these high-profile players from Alabama being fucking injured?
Yeah, it always seems to happen with them. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, not a bad pick for the Dolphins. I'm not sold on Tua, to be honest.
Nobody is. I was sold on him as a college quarterback. But
yeah. I mean, it just
he might be another Tebow.
Yeah, I don't really see him being that great of a quarterback for the Dolphins. They didn't even trust him last year. They used to bring in Fitzpatrick in the second half. I mean,
now let me ask you a question. Why the fuck did the Dolphins get rid of him?
I'm not really sure. I think they just are trying to commit to Tua and saying, you're our guy and this is it. You know, the whole 2 quarterback thing doesn't really work in the NFL. You know, it's actually a shame the Dolphins didn't make the playoffs. They had a good season. They were 10-6, but they were the last team out because of the tiebreaker. You know, they had a really good season.
That that team breaks my heart because they had Dan Marino and they couldn't get the job done with fucking Dan Marino.
No, probably one of the best players to ever not win a championship.
And ironically, the only team to ever go undefeated and win a championship.
Right. Yeah, Marino's a great quarterback, and it's like he just never got that ring.
But that's the only player that I really care about that's never gotten a ring. Him and Jim Kelly. Because who makes it to the Super Bowl for 4 fucking years in a row? And you can't win one of those goddamn fucking games. Right. Let's be honest. I mean, they're a missed field goal away from beating the Giants.
Right, exactly.
In one of those Super Bowls.
They're like 2 feet away, basically, from winning the Super Bowl. But I think Marino overall was a much better quarterback than Kelly.
Right.
But
it just breaks my heart to see a guy go 4 years in a row.
Yeah,
that's a presidential term.
That is crazy, and that's why, like you were saying before, like is it better to, you know, just lose earlier? Because like the Bills, like we think of them as this horrible franchise, but for that 4-year span, they were amazing. Like it's not easy to go back to back Super Bowls. Like that's an incredible feat.
You know what? Like the Jets fans brag about the back-to-back AFC Championship appearances, but I would rather, if I were a Jets fan, I would never brag about that because they lost those games.
Yeah, they didn't go to the Super Bowl. I mean,
and again, I'm not shitting on the Jets. I root for the Jets. I'm just saying, if the Giants had went to back-to-back NFC Championship games and lost them, I wouldn't talk about it. You know what I mean?
We don't even talk about the Ravens game when they lost in the Super Bowl. That's like
I talk about it because I love Kerry Collins.
But that's like a forgotten Super Bowl. Like,
well, that's on purpose because you know the Tishis and the Maras don't want you to remember that game.
Yeah, it's like it never happened. Everyone always forgets about it. It's like you guys forget we went to the Super Bowl in 2000, but those losses in the Super Bowl, like they really mean nothing. You know?
Well, I guess winning your conference is kind of like winning a pennant. You know, if that means anything anymore, I guess not really. But
yeah, I guess you get your NFC Championship T-shirt, right? Your hat, like
you got a banner.
Yeah, you get a banner, whatever it is. You go hang it in the stadium. But
1999 NFC champions.
Yeah, but honestly, losing the Super Bowl is like almost the equivalent of not even going to the playoffs. It's like nobody cares. Like you said, the Bills, like 4 times. Nobody cares about the Bills.
What about the 94 Chargers, man? They got spanked by the Niners.
Yeah, that they had Junior Seau that year. Like he was still like a rookie or second-year guy. Like they had a good team, but they got killed by Steve Young and the Niners. I think Young threw like 7 touchdowns. It was like a record that year.
Yeah. It's insane. Like no, and what about the Rams and the fucking Titans?
Yeah, the Titans.
Like everybody forgets the Titans made a Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah, those are forgotten years for these teams. You know, even the Panthers, right? They lost to the Patriots on the last.
The Panthers are 0-2 in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, with Cam, and then they had your boy, who was it? Delhomme, the quarterback that year.
Yeah, Jake Delhomme. Yeah,
they lost on. That was the start of the Patriots dynasty. That was their first win.
No, incorrect.
Am I wrong on that?
Yes. Their first win was against the Rams.
The Rams, okay.
And Kurt Warner, to this day, swears that he cheated, even back then.
Was that the whole Spygate thing, or was that?
No, it's like, well, yes, but not a different Spygate, like an earlier Spygate.
Oh, okay. There was that, and they barely beat the Panthers that year. They won the last second field goal.
Yeah. Oh, dude, the Patriots are a few plays away from like having no dynasty whatsoever.
Yeah, they don't really dominate games.
First of all, that game, the playoff game with Oakland. All right.
Right. The Tuck rule.
They had no business winning that game. No business winning it. And I am a Raiders fan now because they're in Las Vegas, which is my home away from home. But I am by no means a Raiders supporter or what. At least not at that time. I am now because they're in Vegas and I love Vegas. But the Raiders really got fucked.
Yeah. They had to change the rule for that game.
Yeah.
They basically changed the rule. That was a crazy game. But Vinatieri had a close field goal that game. Was it in the snow or something?
Yeah. You couldn't even see the field.
Yeah, they had to brush off the grass and to kick the ball, and he still made it. But it seems like Vinatieri's always been a staple in that team, making big picks. But yeah, they don't dominate Super Bowls. Like every game's close, right? Like every game's like down to the last second.
Yeah. And look, I mean, did the Patriots win against the Falcons, or did the Falcons lose to themselves?
I think the Falcons lost that game as opposed to the Patriots winning.
Right.
I mean, come on. What are they, 20-3 at halftime? Like, you can't lose that game, man. Like, what are you guys doing over there? Ugh. How do you sleep at night if you're like the coach? Like, that's crazy.
Well, how do you sleep at night if you're Tampa Tom with all those rings?
I'm sure he sleeps just fine.
Is it? This topic has been beaten to death, but is it safe to say he's the man?
Yeah, I mean,
of all time.
I think he has to be. I mean, who else are we talking about? Is it Montana? He's the other one you have to put into the conversation. But in my opinion, it's Brady.
And then number 2 for me is Eli.
Yeah, I'm not going to put him in the same breath as Tom Brady, but
hey, he's the only guy that took him down twice.
He did. He absolutely did.
So give credit where credit's due, you fucking Eli hating piece of shit.
I'm not Eli hater, but we have to give credit to that defense those years too.
I'm not an Eli hater, but he just sucked.
But I hate him.
All right. With the 7th pick, the Detroit Lions selected Penny Sewell. I butchered that name. Offensive tackle out of Oregon.
Yeah, he's good. He was a pick. They said, you can't really go wrong with him. I mean, the Lions have just been another horrible organization for the past 30 years, but and they feel like they downgraded. Like they got Jared Goff at quarterback now. I don't know what that does for them, but
well, dude, they had Barry Sanders and Megatron retire in their fucking prime.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a cursed fucking franchise.
They have one of the best running backs of our generation, one of the best wide receivers of our generation, who did nothing with Lions did nothing with them. And then we had to see them both retire at a young age.
It's a shame. And they probably both retired early for the same reason, because they were playing for a shitty fucking team.
Yeah, like, why am I killing myself type of thing. Like, I think they were both 30, actually. They're almost like the exact same age when they retired.
Yeah, it really is a shame.
Yeah.
Really, like, talk about – I really do care about football. And, like, certain things, like, I don't lose sleep, but, like, metaphorically break my heart. And things like that totally metaphorically break my heart.
Yeah, it's a shame, because I think Sanders was probably one of the best running backs that I ever witnessed, just as far as, like exciting plays, like breaking tackles, spinning away from people. He wasn't that, like, truck type of guy. He was, like, just, like, spinning off of people. It was crazy. Like, it was like a video game watching him. So I enjoyed watching him, but, by the time I was, 12 when he retired, I didn't see him. I felt like I couldn't appreciate him as much. Because when you're younger, you don't really, watch sports as much when you're 7, 8 years old,
And when he retired, he just went off the fucking grid.
Yeah. Never heard of him ever again.
What a shame. With the 8th pick, my Carolina Panthers selected J.C. Horn, cornerback from your girls' school, the Linebackers, South Carolina.
Oh, that's Joe Horn's son, the old X-5 receiver for the Saints.
Wow, I would have never known that.
Yeah, I just remember hearing him talk about his son after the draft, saying that, he was the best cornerback and that he wasn't getting enough hype. They were giving it all to Patrick Surtain, another son of a football player.
Interesting.
But Horn I actually didn't really know much about. They said he's very good, so we'll see what happens. I mean, the Panthers have their quarterback already, right? And their team around him with McCaffrey and Moore and Anderson.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about that. I can't believe that that your boy from the Jets went to the fucking Panthers.
Oh, Anderson?
No, the quarterback.
Oh, Darnold. No, they traded him. I think they were kind of done with him. We don't even know if he's a good quarterback or not, because obviously it was in the Jets with Adam Gase.
I feel like he never had a fair shake at the Jets.
Yeah, with Adam Gase.
And I feel like he showed ability at certain points, but it was just never consistent.
Yeah, I think that was always the case with him. It's like he had the talent or whatever it is, but he just was in a bad situation. It's the Jets, and yeah, Adam Gase, that coach. You can't get worse than that.
And again, I root for the Jets. Talk about breaking my heart. It broke my heart when Bill Parcells was coaching them and he lost to the Broncos in the playoffs. Remember that?
When he coached the Jets?
When Bill Parcells was coaching the Jets and the Jets lost to Denver in the AFC Championship.
Wow, I don't remember that at all. You better remember than me.
And then the Broncos went on to play the Packers and won. That was when John Elway went back to back.
I was going to say, that was what, the late 90s?
Yes.
Yeah, it had to be like 97-ish, around there.
97, 98. That was Vinny Testaverde.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know the Jets went that far. They went to the AFC Championship game with Bill Parcells?
Oh, fuck yeah, they did.
Wow, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah. Bill Parcells fucking turned them right around. Remember they were 1-15 with Rich Kotite?
I thought it was, what's his name? Wasn't your boy Pete Carroll there? He wasn't the coach of the Jets when they were 1-15?
No, that was Rich Kotite.
Oh, okay.
Pete Carroll was coaching the Patriots at one point.
Yeah, but what was the time? He was really bad at first, wasn't he? He was an NFL coach and was like on a one-win team.
Yeah, he did a shitty job, I think, with the Patriots.
Was that what it was, the Patriots?
Yeah. And then he learned how to cheat at USC.
Yes. Yeah, he stacked that team up when they had Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart, and then he got in trouble and he left.
He is a perfect fit for Seattle, though.
Yes, he is. He really is. But yeah, he cheated in USC, got his championship. Actually, no, did they? They lost to Texas actually that year. But Bush had the Heisman to give it back or whatever, right?
He had to give back his copy.
Yeah, it's copy of the Heisman.
I never even heard of such a term. Your copy of the trophy. Like I didn't know you just copy trophies.
The copy of the trophy.
I guess the school gets one and the player gets one.
It's funny these coaches get away with that stuff. Like they can literally just cheat and then say, you know what, fuck it, I'm out. And the school gets hammered with the penalties when the coach leaves. Good for him though.
Hey, you know whose laugh you have? You remember The Sopranos? You fucking
Which one? Which character?
Paulie.
Paulie, really?
You laugh like Paulie.
Really?
It's not a bad thing.
Paulie Walnuts?
He's everybody's favorite character.
He's a good character. Damn, so that's going to be when I'm older, basically. I just saw my future. I'm going to be Paulie Walnuts.
And you're fucking like Guido.
Wearing a guinea tee with the suspenders.
Or you're fucking like the Guido Adidas fucking suit.
Yeah, that. I always picture him in the wife beater, though, with the suspenders. Oh, God, I'm going to be that guy. That's so sad.
Hey, if it makes you feel better, I'm fucking Tony's son. I'm AJ.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, but you have the same name.
And my dad also thought he was Tony Soprano.
Oh, there you go. So that makes sense, yeah.
All right, so we'll cut it off here at the 10th pick with the and we'll do another show. We'll cover the rest of the first round.
Yep.
The Eagles with the 10th pick selected Devonta Smith, wide receiver from Alabama. And this pick came from Dallas, which I find interesting because you usually don't see teams in the same division working out deals like this.
Oh, that's right. They traded up with Dallas, right?
So
to get that pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Giants wanted him, and quite frankly, I don't think he's that good. He was great in college, don't get me wrong. I don't think he's a great NFL prospect, though. He's like, what, 5'10", like 160 pounds? I mean, do those guys really last in the NFL? Like, he'll be like probably a punt returner, maybe a slot guy. I don't see him being that game changer.
Are they looking for him to be like another, what's his name?
Who would take him?
No, the guy on the Eagles, that fucking
Deshaun Jackson?
Yeah.
Maybe. Deshaun Jackson was definitely like more of a speedster. I don't know. I just don't see
this guy, he's 6'1", 175.
He's 6'1", he's that tall, okay. Well, we all know they exaggerate their height.
Well,
we'll probably 6 foot.
He won the Heisman Trophy.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm not taking away his college years.
He was the AP College Football Player of the Year. So I mean, he's got accolades.
Oh no, that's what I said. He was amazing in college, but we know the Heisman doesn't mean anything. I mean, a lot of guys win the Heisman don't do shit in the NFL.
Bro, he was born the same year I played freshman football in high school.
Yeah, don't talk about these guys' age. It's gonna make me feel old. And I know these guys are like, what, 21, so they're born in like 99 or whatever, or 2000. I don't want to hear that.
Hey, man, but look, we're like a fine wine. We get better with age, bro.
That's true. I can't argue that.
And with that, we're about to hit the 1 hour mark. We're at about 55 minutes. I think.
Wow, an hour already? Holy cow!
I think we had a lot of fun today. We got off to a slow start, but we picked it back up, and It's the off season, baby. We got to get back into shape
Yeah,
for the NFL Boycott Club.
right. When does training camp start? Like official training camp, not OTAs. Like, what is that, June or something?
Fucking tomorrow.
July, I think. Tomorrow.
All right, bro. Well, if you don't have anything else to add, I think this was a good one.
I'm good. Cheers to your Saturday night.
All right. Hey, happy hour, Juice Heads, and we'll catch you next time on the NFL Boycott Club.
See ya.
Don't miss it.